Chinese poetry is one of the pinnacles of Chinese culture, with profound beauty compressed into just a few characters. It may seem intimidating at first, but it is not as difficult as you might think. In this video, we will decode this single verse from the famous poem 长恨歌, written in 806. By the end, you will understand this 1200-year-old verse and gain a deeper understanding of the Chinese emotion of hen at its heart. The poem's title is 长恨歌, the song of everlasting sorrow. Here, hen is commonly translated as sorrow. The verse we will decode is the poem's final line. It echoes the title
此恨绵绵无绝期.
This hen stretches on and on without end. The poem describes the tragic love story between a Chinese emperor and his lover, based on historical events. The emperor was Tang Xuanzong. He ruled at the height of the Tang-dynasty, one of imperial China's great golden ages. But in his later years, he turned away from governing and devoted himself to his beloved imperial consort, Yang Yuhuan. His withdrawal from government fed a power struggle at court. Then a rebellion shattered the empire and ended the Tang Golden Age. As rebel armies advanced, the court fled the capital. At a roadside station, the imperial guards blamed it on the emperor's beloved consort and demanded her death. The emperor had no choice but to give in. He survived, but he could never get over losing her. So although 长恨歌 is translated as the song of everlasting sorrow, the emotion here goes far beyond sorrow. It contains remorse, grievance, and a loss the heart cannot get over. Which begs the question, what exactly is the hen emotion? It appears in compound words for hatred, remorse, resentment, enmity, and in an expression that means to desire intensely to do something, but cannot. Dictionaries typically define hen circularly, glossing it as hate, resentment, regret, or frustration, essentially the meanings of the compound words in which hen appears, without explaining the underlying meaning of hen itself. But what hen means is encoded into the character itself. It is the heart plus hen, where hen means the boundary. A boundary is where things are blocked and stop, so hen means a blocked heart, a heart that cannot get what it wants or cannot get over something. And the hen compound words are formed from this logic where the first character tells us what keeps the heart stuck.
憎恨
Loathing you cannot get over. Hatred.
怨恨
A grievance you cannot get over. Resentment. 仇恨 An enemy you cannot get over. Enmity.
悔恨
A regret you cannot get over, remorse. And Chinese use verbs that mean to unblock to describe the resolution of the hen emotion.
解恨
Cut open the blockage and find relief.
泄恨
Drain out what was blocked in the heart, to vent it. And this same mechanism explains this common expression, 恨不得. Here, hen is a blocked heart that cannot get what it wants. 不得 means cannot obtain. So 恨不得 is saying the heart wants to do something, but it is blocked by a boundary and cannot obtain what it wants. You can use 恨不得 plus an action to express someone really wants to do something, but in reality cannot do it. For example, 这部剧太好看了，
我恨不得一口气看完。
This show is so gripping that I want so badly to watch the whole thing in one sitting. Now back to the poem. Classical Chinese poems typically are composed of 4 or 8 verses, each verse 5 or 7 characters long. 长恨歌 uses the 7-character verse too, but is on a much larger scale with 120 lines as it tells a story. And because each character is read as one syllable, every line has 7 syllables. That regular length gives the poem its symmetry and musical pulse. A classic Chinese poem is easier than it looks for 2 reasons. First, its grammar has a familiar skeleton. Chinese words generally do not change form the way words do in many other languages. Instead, grammar is expressed mainly through word order and a small number of grammatical words. And the basic word order is often familiar: subject, verb, object. Our line can be read with that same backbone. Subject, verb, object. This works as an adverb, modifying the verb, while this modifies the final noun. Second, classical Chinese poetry often uses one-character, one-syllable words, where modern Mandarin commonly uses words of 2 or more syllables. That makes every sentence compact and easier to learn. In our verse, almost every unit is one syllable: the demonstrative, the 2 nouns, the verb, and the adjective. Only the adverb is deliberately doubled for added effects. If you said the same line in modern Mandarin, each one-syllable word would often become a 2 or 3-syllable word. Now let's go through the units of the verse one by one. We will focus on its subject-verb-object backbone first. 此 means this. In modern Mandarin, you would use a different word in everyday speech for this, 这, and you often add a counter or measure word as in
这份
or
这个
but 此 still commonly appears in set expressions in daily use as a fossilized word. For example, 此起彼伏, this rises, that falls, means one after another. And
由此可见
through this, we can see means therefore. 恨 is the subject of the verse.
无
is the verb. Here, it means does not have.
无
is a sister character to 莫, which we covered in another video. Like 莫, it means to cover when used as a radical, and negation when used on its own. Qi is the object of the verse. We covered this character in the element pictogram video. It is qi, the concept to designate, plus 日, here meaning a time period. Together, the designated time, a set time. 学 modifies qi. Its original meaning is to sever a silk thread. By extension, it came to mean to cut off or to bring to an end. We see that extension in 绝交, 交 means association, so 绝交 means to break off a relationship. And 绝情, 情 means feelings, so 绝情 means cold-hearted. So 绝期 means a set time for ending, and 此恨無絕期 means this hen emotion does not have an end date. Finally, 绵绵 is the poetic touch. It conveys in what fashion the hen emotion does not have an end date. 绵's original meaning is fine silk strands joined continuously together. Thus, it conveys the idea of being soft but tenacious and continuous. Here, 绵 is doubled as 绵绵, which not only reinforces the sense of continuity, but also creates a visual and audible impression of something stretching on and on. 绵 is still commonly used in daily Mandarin, such as 阴雨绵绵 and 连绵不绝. Also notice the interplay between 绵绵 and 无绝. Both 绵 and 绝 contain the silk component, so 绵绵 is the silk thread stretching continuously, and 绝 is to sever a silk thread. And because 绝 is negated, 绵绵 and 无绝 are really communicating the same idea. So putting it all together,
此恨绵绵无绝期
this hen emotion stretches on and on, continuous, unbroken, with no end date. And that is hen, a heart unable to get over what happened. You have just read a classic Chinese verse from 1200 years ago. If you find deep dives into classical Chinese poetry and culture helpful, please like and subscribe. If you have a favorite poem you would like us to explore in a similar fashion, please leave a comment below.